Woj is reporting that Kevin Durant has officially declined his $31.5 million player option and thus will become an unrestricted free agent. This is not a surprise. Woj also reported that KD is still considering a number of scenarios in free agency with the Warriors, Knicks, Nets, and Clippers in contention. And if KD re-signs with Golden State on a max deal, he'll make $221 million over 5 years. If he decides to take his talents elsewhere, any other team can offer him 4 years at $164. That's 1 year and $57 million fewer. And so, as promised, Brian Windhorst joins our program bright and early this morning. Windy, thank you for doing this. But Jay, I will start with you here. Obviously, you know KD well and all of that. What should anyone be taking away from the fact that he did turn down that option yesterday?
This is business as usual for free agents. I feel for a guy like Kevin Durant, you exercise that option, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you have a chance to go for 5 years, $221 million, which you said $57 million more. And we've been saying this the whole time. That's a feasible option for Kevin Durant and his team. It should be on the table.
Yeah, and so going back to that moment when we all sort of caught our breath and watched him go down in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and certainly it was a terrible thing that happened both for him, for his team, and for the league. But at least it did not wind up costing him all of this money, right? That's the one piece of this you walk away with. When he first went down, you thought to yourself, oh, my goodness, he's a free agent. He's still going to get whatever money he would have gotten had he been fully healthy.
Yes, from what I've understood and what I've heard around the NBA, you still have multiple teams that are going to be willing to offer him the max. And the fact that Golden State offers him the max goes to show you that they still have a plan with Kevin Durant moving forward.
Actually, the morning after it happened, Brian Windhorst was on our show, and he told us exactly that his expectation was that he would still wind up getting all the money he might want from any of these teams. So, Windy, what are we hearing now about how Durant is going to go about his business once free agency does begin?
Yeah, Greedy. So the executives I've talked to around the league believe that Kevin Durant will not take formal pitch meetings. Now, remember, 3 years ago in the Hamptons, Tom Brady flying in, the four Warriors key players and their whole front office coming in. That is not what he plans to do. He said right before he got injured that he can't be recruited, that's not something that needs to happen, that he will make his own decision based on his own criteria. And remember, last summer, LeBron James didn't take meetings either. He had a meeting with exactly one team. That was the Lakers on the night of June 30th and made the deal the next day. I think Durant will take some more time here, but this will not be like his previous major free agency.
I would agree with him on that. I think Kevin will take phone calls from different people. He'll sit with Rich Kleiman. They'll talk about strategy, but it will not be formal pitch meetings.
It just seems impossible to me to imagine that you've had all this time to plan this one way or another. You've had the last several weeks, but unfortunately, as he's now had the injury, to do nothing but think about this, that he doesn't already have some sense in his mind of what he wants to do.
I think Kevin does to a certain degree, but I still think that there is something about the process that they're not going to expedite. And the process says a lot of things. You can find out information about other teams. It could change your scenario. The one thing we have seen, Rini, is that this landscape can change very quickly as soon as moving parts start to happen.
All right, ESPN.com has a forecast panel that predicted the destination for all the top players in the NBA, and this is what came up for Kevin Durant. 40% chance he goes back to Golden State, 30% the Nets, 30% the Knicks. Windy, as I look at that, I think to myself, he can get the most money, and we started the show with that, the extra year and the extra $57 million by re-signing with Golden State. It doesn't necessarily mean his intention would be to continue playing for Golden State, right?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things in play here. I mean, I'm going to just be honest with you. My sense is that the Warriors are in a scramble mode to do anything that they can to either keep Kevin or not lose him for nothing. The last thing that the Warriors want is for him to just go sign with the Nets or sign with the Knicks. So in addition to offering him the 5-year contract and hoping that he will either stay with them or be willing to rehab with them and then maybe traded, the Warriors are wide open to considering sign and trade scenarios. They would love, let's say Kevin wants to go to the Nets. They would love to do a sign and trade with the Nets. Now you might say, well, what would they get back? Well, what they could do is they could get back a trade exception where you would get a $35 million basically gift certificate that they could then use to go get other players, which they're going to need. And I know you may not get any type of standout player back, but they have no functional way to improve their team because they don't have any roster space. They're not going to have salary cap space if he leaves. So the Warriors really want to work alongside Kevin Durant over the next week, whether it's to keep him, whether it's to help him go elsewhere. Now, the Nets wouldn't really be incentivized to, or the Knicks or the Clippers to help the Warriors. So that may not end up happening.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.